I don't have the phone stand with me. Don't you love that? And the video starts off with I. That's a next, right? Ever seen that MTV show Next? That's an automatic next. But anybody who follows the channel knows that when I say I, it's not really. It is, but it isn't about an individual. But I'm not going to get into that. But I don't currently have the phone stand. So I'm making this video on the move. I'm at an atypical location as my grandfather is making his transition. Namely, he's at the hospital making his transition from this world. And so I'm here giving my grandmother company and support. And I'm grateful because it's giving this entity called Alex purpose. And I'm ever grateful for this. To simply be there with them. You know, sometimes I'm guided to offer words of wisdom. And I'm not calling myself wise by any means. The words simply flow out, as they do now. But oftentimes, I'm simply being with them. When I say giving company, it's simply being. No words need to be spoken unless prompted. Unless a response, which is always conscious, there's never a reaction. An involuntary reaction, it's always a conscious response. And if that response is prompted from the world around, say grandfather or grandmother, then of course, whatever I'm guided to speak will flow out. It's funny because grandfather's in and out. Like I said, he's making his transition, so sometimes we visit him, and you know it's an hour away. So I don't want Gram riding down by herself. Her attachment style is very heavy, and she's been with him for 53 years. And you know she has a dog. I live by myself, no pets, nothing, in the middle of nowhere, but she's always been surrounded by people ever since she's a little kid. She's been a babysitter, so just to provide a little context, a little background, so that, you know, you kind of understand where this is coming from. And she's basically my mother growing up. I've been blessed with two mothers. Biological mother, although I view I'm a mother to the world myself, and I view every woman as either my mother or sister. Because I don't objectify anything, really. I see the root, the light of awareness as the source of all of existence. So there's no objectification of outer appearance. There's no projection saying that is separate from this. Because when you say, oh, this one's beautiful and that one's not, what you're doing is you're defining yourself as separate. It has nothing to do with the world around you. It's all subjective, but I want to try to stay on subject here because I can easily get off on tangents. Like I said, the words are just flowing out as they want to. There's no personal self monitoring them. So sometimes, you know, I may say things that upon reflection, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have posted that or said that, but hey, it should as a hypothetical, and it is what it is. It came out for a reason. Somebody, you know, needed to hear it. Hopefully. Like I've said in numerous videos, if one person sees something or hears something on here and it makes a difference, then I'm living my purpose. But anyways, it's not about me. So I've been staying with my grandmother, who's been accompanying my grandfather on a daily basis. Been riding down with her, and hence I'm at this location. This body is at this location, and like I said, her attachment style is very heavy. And mine is the exact opposite. But I don't want her to feel alone. So I've been staying here with her. And one of the funny things grandfather said was, like I said, before he's in and out. And really, he's, like I said, he's making his transition. He's on his way out of this world. But really, the only way out is in. The only way of liberation is inward. That's ultimately the only thing that really matters, is our inner spiritual journey. The only thing that matters is our daily spiritual advancement. And for that lies our daily discipline, the fire of our daily spiritual practice, whatever it is. I'm not going to get off on a tangent. Stay on subject, Alex. And one of the funny things grandfather said is, like I said, he's in and out. And he said, Alex, my only problem with you has been that you lack ambition. And to which I responded immediately. I said, Grandpa, that's irrelevant. None of that matters right now. Of course, I didn't take it personally. I never take anything personally. But subjectively, I thought, like, of course, he doesn't understand me, because my ambition is not for the worldly. I have a great ambition, a serious ambition, and serious discipline, but it's not directed outwardly. It's not based on the worldly. It's not based on the world of appearance, but my ambition is for divinity. And thus, a lot of people whose awareness is focused perpetually on the world of appearance may not understand this ambition, which is directed inwardly. And he's one of those people who never really understood it. I'd be sitting out in the yard when I actually, before I had my own place and I was living at my grandmother's, I would simply be sitting there. We can label it meditation. And I'd hear muttering under his breath, scoffing, just not understanding how somebody can simply be content sitting, not doing anything, sitting, all is here, all is complete, I'm content, and I don't need to do anything. I can simply sit here and be joyful by my own nature, just like the child, right? To enter the kingdom of heaven, become again like a child. Just, Graham, like I said, Graham has a dog, and she never takes the dog on walks, so I've been taking the dog on a walk. I usually walk by myself, but hey, I've been blessed to be taking the dog on a walk and just letting her go in the forest. As soon as we get there, I take her, I am the dog's leash. She listens, I whistle, she comes right up to me. So we get in the forest and I let her go free. No leash. And just watching her run around, just a bundle of joy. I can't help but smile and just watch her running and going back and forth. And I can see why people have animals. Ultimately, it's for comfort, right? But, when our ambition is for the inward, not everybody may understand it. And God, be careful with words that we use, because we don't want them to conjure up an image in somebody's mind as if God is an image beyond all concepts and images and appearances and objects, although simultaneously within it. But we don't want to hear a certain word and associate a certain image and lose the point, lose the essence, the energy of what's being spoken. But when our ambition, the direction of our focus is on God within us, the light of awareness, which permeates all of existence, simultaneous, there is no separateness. There is only a deep, profound sense of connectedness, and we can tune in with this. And as we do, through a fixed focus, which is continuous, no matter the circumstance or whatever the outer appearance, whatever the activity, we're always simultaneously focused on divinity. We can simply be sitting in what we can label meditation, or we can be vigorously exercising, whatever it is. We're fixed on the seer behind the appearance, not necessarily on what is being seen, because we're taking in everything simultaneously. There's no fixed focus on this. Of course, there can be. I can focus directly on one object or one thing, but typically, when the eyes are open, it's a wide open gaze, unblinking, taking in everything without any discrimination. Of course, the discriminatory mind, the intellect is still there, intact, but we can say it's controlled, but that may not be the best word. It can be used when necessary, or when one is guided to use it, but it doesn't have a mind of its own, so to speak. One can use it or shut it off and put it to sleep. It doesn't just keep going and going and going. The thought process, the stream of consciousness, is completely conscious. There's not one thought that slips by that one is not aware of, because one is aware that they are the awareness that's aware of the thought process. And that gives one so much more leeway and flexibility to not act on certain thoughts. As I said in the last video, we can't necessarily, and I don't like using that word can't, but we can't always choose what thoughts show up in awareness. But we can certainly choose which thoughts that we act upon. And when we identify, when we are aware that we are the awareness and not the thoughts themselves, we can choose not to act on certain thoughts. And so there's no habits. Life is a completely conscious process, an eternal process. And, going to visit my grandfather brings to mind the difference between life sense and we can say internet science. Just because a doctor has a degree or a nurse has a degree doesn't mean they have life sense. Anybody can go to school and get a degree, but not everybody has that inwardly directed focus, realizes that they are the awareness, the awareness itself, the light itself. And so I go there, and one of the first day that I visited him in the hospital, I made sure he didn't have any metal on the body. And unfortunately, his head was not facing north, which is optimal for the transition, the spirit, the soul within the body. It's optimal for one to be facing, their head to be facing north, and his head was facing south, the exact opposite. Now he's in a different room. It's, it is what it is, and didn't go there to control the circumstances, and just observing. And luckily he didn't have any metal on the body, and that can inhibit the process and not make it go as easy. We want the transition to go easy, right? That's one of the reasons I feel that I've been going to visit him. Like I said, to simply be there with him. And this time of his life. I don't say his life as if his life's a separate life. Because existentially, ultimately, my life is... There is no my life in your life. We can say, okay, this is my body, that's your body. This is my mind. Concept of consciousness that is manifest as a part of this interconnected existence. There's a discernment that all things and objects are simply a concept of consciousness, right? And we can say, okay, this concept, Alex, this self-image, my mind is different or separate superficially from your mind. This is my body, my mind. That's your body, your mind. But in terms of awareness, in terms of consciousness, in terms of fundamental essence, existence, life is a synonym for existence. There is no difference. So I speak in terms of this. So when I say his life, I'm talking about his individual karmic patterns as they are encapsulated currently in a physical body that we label Phil. That's his name. So his life, Phil, as he's making this transition, I've been guided to simply be there with him. And I'm blessed and I'm fortunate. As I've said, this has given me a purpose. Not to make it about me, because it's about life, really. It's about uplifting the world around us. When we live with this sense of purpose, we live from the heart. It says in the Bible, God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son. That same Son that he took out of the world. He showed him the other side, so to speak. What's on the other side, as my grandfather's making his transition, he hasn't seen what's on the other side, so he's fearful. He's clinging. He's clinging to life, as if there's something to cling on to. And that's one of the reasons I've been guided to go there, because, we can label it near-death experience, out-of-body experience, mystical experience, whatever the label. Seeing the other side, so to speak, you're never fearful again. You realize, once you transcend the fear of death, you realize that you're, in essence, an immortal spiritual soul that is not subject to death or outer appearance. Once you transcend the fear of death, which is the root of all other fears, then you're fearless. It's only natural. And he hasn't been blessed with that experience. So, and I say experience, there's no individual to experience it, because when it happens to you, it shatters the illusion of an individual. But he is still clinging, and he said it. He said, I'm scared to let go. And I tell him, you're safe. You're safe. Especially when he's, like I said, he's in and out states. And when he's kind of out of it, I realize his subconscious mind is very receptive and open. And so I tell him, I said at the beginning of the video, I offer words of wisdom, but really words of comfort. Tell him you're safe. It's okay to let go. You are not this body. You are not this mind. You're not subject to any limitations or time. And I whisper. I offer these words of comfort. So that, even though he has a pretty hard-headed ego, I guess we all do, some more than others, his heart is in the right place. He believes in God. Whatever his concept is, whatever his image is, his heart is in the right place, and I feel that. And that's what's most important as he's making his transition. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. In the same world that his Son was taken out of, God put him back into. And there's no person to take credit for it or claim it. And so, I hope you know, you do. Whether you consciously know it, there's a deeper part of you that certainly knows it. That really, you can't die. Only the surface part of you can die. The body and mind. But the essence, which is the source of life and existence, is not subject to death. I know this. And I say I, and I mean you know this. Because the I within this is not separate from the I within that. There is no difference between this and that. Only in the world of relativity or appearance and science, which objectifies objects. All scientific instruments are necessarily extraneous to the essence of life. They measure the world of appearance and define it in limited terms, whereas the essence of life is limitless, is boundless. It can't be contained. We can try to contain it through realizing that we are that light of awareness and to simply sit in silence as the source of existence. We can try to contain it within this earthly experience, but we can only contain so much of it. You know, one is can't claim to be equivalent. Just like one can't really claim enlightenment. Anyways, before I get off on another tangent, I feel that what was meant to be said was said. I'll share this with you. Quick, zoom in on it. Something that's been here since I've been a little kid. Of course, I didn't appreciate it as a little kid, but now I read it and a few simple words, right? A lot of words in this video here, but meekness, certainly not weakness, but it shows spiritual strength and toughness, patience, all the qualities of a strong character right here. Not limited to this, of course. But it's a good little picture. Happy New Year. God bless. All the best. Nobody can ask anything of you except to do your best. As long as you're doing your best, thumbs up, right? If you don't do what you can't do, no problem. But if you don't do what you can do, you're the problem. You're pointing fingers. You're one to point fingers. Oh, this is the problem. That's the problem. If this was different, then I'd be different. No. There are no problems inherent in the world. Only problems are inherent within a seeming individual. All problems, seeming problems, are subjective. When we learn to let go of negativity and lower level vibrations and emotions, we realize a light heart and thus boundless joy. God is ever new joy. Right now, the silence between the thought process, that space of awareness is ever new joyness. And when one is joyous, there is no need for ethics and morality. And one sees beyond their physical mortality. Because if I see you as being the same as me, I don't need morality. I don't need somebody to tell me, hey, don't steal from that person. Hey, don't hit that person. Don't say this or do that to this person. Because you don't feel a sense of separateness. You see that they are fundamentally the same light of awareness that animates your seemingly individual intelligence. And so you're not gonna do anything to hurt them. You're naturally gonna be animated with a sense of compassion. And sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is tell somebody the truth, which you know they're averse to, which you know that they don't really want to hear, but you know it's the truth. And you can say it lightheartedly because there's no resistance. And whatever their reaction is, a response, still, it's not gonna affect your state. And the truth, the fundamental absolute truth, is beyond all states, beyond all mental states. It's founded in the silence. So shut up, Alex. Amen.